and welcome to tonight's A Better Life episode. Tonight's topic, parenting. What to do when doing it alone. Single parenting, it's a topic that's often shared but rarely discussed. So what do I mean by that? When we share our life experiences, we share them because we want to talk about them. It's rarely a moment that we listen, and rarely a time when any solution-based discussion takes place. Sharing, it's because we want to be heard. We want to share out loud the conversations that are happening in our hearts and our minds with others so that they can listen to us. But discussion is a little bit different. Discussion is an opportunity for us to be heard, to listen, to develop, to grow, to be better. So tonight, as we discuss single parenting, we'll take a look at how it affects the key players: the ex-boyfriend, the ex-husband, the father, the ex-wife, the ex-girlfriend, the wife. The mother. And last but certainly not least, the child. So you're probably thinking, Kamisha, seriously, what do you have to tell me about being a single parent? You've been married to the same man for more than half of your life, and from that union, your children were born. You know nothing about being a single parent. Well, you can believe me or you can choose not to, but I am actually the product of a single parent. My mother was a single parent until I was a toddler when she remarried. So, from my life experiences, I know what it's like to be the child that's at the center, used as a weapon between a mom and a dad battling with each other over the hurt from their relationship. I also know what it's like to be that daughter that knows that the topic of her biological father is a taboo topic in the home growing up. And I was the girl who felt abandoned and lost and left alone by my father and his family at the timing of his unexpected death. So tonight's discussion is about my experiences, my studies, and my growth. So let's get to the good part. Let's talk about it. Parenting. What to do when doing it alone. A large part of being a single parent is the requirement that you succeed at raising your child while simultaneously working through how you're going to manage the disappointment and the discouragement from a failed relationship with your child's other parent. So how do you do that? As I was preparing for tonight's topic, I thought about Hagar. When I was writing my last book, I did a lot of study on women in the Bible, their different challenges and their victories. And Hagar was the maid of Sarah. And Sarah had given Hagar to her husband Abraham because Sarah was unable to conceive children. So she gave Hagar to Abraham so that she could conceive a child for him. And from that gift, Ishmael was born. And then later, Sarah gives birth to her own child, Isaac, and she demands of Abraham that he banish Hagar and her son Ishmael from the camp. So Abraham sends his firstborn son and Hagar away to go live and manage through life on their own. And at that moment, Hagar becomes a single parent. So the story goes on to say that Hagar and Ishmael get lost out in the desert and they run out of water. So they have a moment where it's very desperate. They're dying of thirst. They have no provision of water and they don't know where they're going. So Hagar takes a moment and puts Ishmael underneath a shrub, and then she walks away from him far enough for him not to hear her, and she starts to cry. And an angel comes down and asks Hagar what's going on, because God had heard the cries of the boy. And when Hagar explains their situation, the angel then comforts her and advises her that God is still going to be with the boy as he promised to Abraham. And then Hagar's eyes are open where she sees a well of water for the two of them to drink from. So what we can tell from Hagar as a single parent is, what we learn from her is that Hagar was a protector of her child. When Hagar puts Ishmael under the bush, she's protecting him from the sun and the heat, because it can only become a further exasperator to the thirst that he's dying from if he continues to be out in the sun and the heat. And then when Hagar separated herself from Ishmael, she was preventing him from having to participate in the process of her dealing with her own pain. She recognized that her child did not need to hear everything that she was going through. And then lastly, she prayed. The cries from Hagar are definitely considered to be the cries from her heart as prayers to God to come and save them and rescue them. But the lessons learned from what Hagar did are important. It's just as much as important are the lessons learned from what she did not do. She didn't speak evil against Abraham in front of her child. Abraham sent them away with protection, with little provision to learn and navigate through the world on their own. But she never at any time said to the child, we wouldn't be going through this if your father would do his part. And then Hagar didn't involve Ishmael in the discussions about how his father had favored his other son Isaac over him. Don't try to sit there and act like you don't know what I'm talking about, because you know how it gets done. You know how we do it. Well, your dad won't be able to pick you up this weekend because he needs to he needs to spend time with his other new family. So I guess you're stuck with me for the weekend. And so we'll figure out what to do. But, I don't have as much money as he does because he's not giving me money. You're just being sarcastic and putting all of that on your child. And Hagar didn't become a deterrent to the establishment of the father-son relationship that Ishmael deserved to have from his father with her words and actions. Ephesians 6:4 says, "Do not provoke your child to anger." You have to realize that when your words are geared towards making the other parent look undeserving of your child's love, that you are planting seeds of anger in your child's heart and mind towards that other parent. Now you're an adult. You have years of life experiences in your favor, and you have some unresolved things that you don't know how you're going to get over working on in your heart and mind. So how do you think that your child, who doesn't have the benefit of years of life behind him, is going to get over resolving the influence of anger towards his or her parent that you have when they don't have as much experience in dealing with life situations as you do? It's normal to be angered when people don't do what you expect them to do. We talked about that last week. And I know that when the offending actions are reoccurring on the part of the other parent, you feel like you're caught in the cycle of, here we go again. But someone else's continual offense does not give you a pass to be negligent when your child's emotional well-being is at stake. It's no secret that what your child thinks of themselves internally, how they view their lives and existence internally, is demonstrated externally and is reflected in their actions and their progression in life. So you have to be like Hagar. You have to protect them. You have to prevent things from happening, and you have to pray. And when situations arise and you don't know what to say, you don't have the words to comfort your child, you have to rely on God. Declare and believe the words of Colossians 4:6, that your conversations will be full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. You can't sing Nobody Greater every Sunday morning in worship service, have it uploaded on your iPad riding down the street, claim that you went down in the valley, you rose on up to the mountaintop, you looked all around and you found no one to be greater than God. But you can't trust God enough to know that your example of cooperation, your example of forgiveness, your example of love will not make you look like a sucker in your child's eyes, but instead it will give them the necessary tools as an example to draw from in their lives as they grow and mature and have to deal with their own life situations. See, when I don't know what to do, where to go, what to say, I have this unwavering trust that I know a God who will stop what he's doing to come and rescue me, to cover me with his grace, and to lead me and guide me and help me to see my way through. The first commandment with promise is that honor thy mother and father so that your days will be long upon the earth. The word honor in the scripture context simply means to have an inward attitude of esteem for their position. It's not an honor based on merit. It's not an honor based on what they've done. It's an honor simply because of their position of parent. And a child who is constantly reminded by one parent of what the other parent does not do, and did not do, and will not do, cannot open that space in their heart and mind to have honor for that parent. So here's the thing. Can you, as a parent, set aside your desire to be right, your need to exalt yourself as the one parent who's doing the right thing by your child? Yeah, you might have more reasons to be angry than any one person should ever have to deal with in life. But can you set aside all of that and give your child a chance to allow the promises of God to encircle their lives regardless of the choices that you've made in life? If you knew for certain, without any doubt, that regardless of what the other parent has done or what they don't do, that regardless of if your child's mother or father walked away from you guys never to turn back, regardless of that, in spite of that, that your child would still live and enjoy life, be great, be the head and not the tail, wouldn't you focus your attention on cultivating and preserving that greatness? I'm sure your answer is going to be yes. And that's all I want you to get from this, is that the promises of God, the plans that he has for your child, the plans that he has for you will always unfold according to his will in spite of what everybody else is doing. And that plan is going to happen regardless of what the other parent is or is not doing. Your focus has to be on doing what's right. Your focus has to be on raising your child in a righteous atmosphere. You cannot focus on trying to divert and derail the actions of the other parent and making sure that no evil comes against you. Because when your heart is right towards God, let me tell you what's going to happen. He will frustrate the plans of evildoers and evil dwellers such that their plan will not work. You do know that no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. So with Father's Day coming up, I know that I'm going to see this a lot on social media. I'm going to hear it from my girlfriends where they proclaim Happy Father's Day to me because I'm the mommy and the daddy. I do it all. I assume both roles because the father is not here. You know what? I just want you to resist the urge to do that this Father's Day and make a change and be an example. Because you know what? Your child needs you to be in the role that you were uniquely qualified for, which is the role of mother. But when you do that whole I'm the father and I'm the mother routine, you're actually robbing your child of the opportunity to acknowledge the position that their father should have in their lives, the position that they need to give honor to because of his position as their other parent. A position that your child needs to give honor to in order to receive the promises. Remember, there was a time when you saw some good in the other parent in your child's life. You've just been disappointed for so long that you've forgotten about that. But don't allow how you feel to derail the plan that God has for you in your child's life. Well, we're out of time for tonight's episode, but I truly hope that you were strengthened and encouraged. I want to just wish everyone out there a happy Father's Day. To all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Continue to do what you do to raise good, healthy, emotionally stable, well-adjusted, righteous children. And I hope that you will join us next week for more Better Life discussions. Stay ready. Thanks for joining. Have a good night. We're out of time for today's broadcast. I hope that you were strengthened and encouraged and that you take the time to join us next week for more Better Life discussions. Don't forget to order your Stay Ready t-shirts. Your purchases, gifts, and donations help to undergird the projects of New Era Works Foundation, which is the foundation that I've set up to allow you to be a blessing into my life. I've heard from many of you many times before asking, Kamisha, how do I be a blessing to you? I want to send a check, a gift to you. And so this is the way that we've outlined for you to be able to be a blessing to my life, because I do not have a brick and mortar church, but I do have things that are charitable outreach that we're doing through the New Era Works Foundation, that your gift can be given in the same format type of a charitable donation and go to help to support the outreach and reach and efforts of New Era Works Foundation. We need your support in order to undergird the operational items and projects that we have forecasted for the summer months. And know that I appreciate all that you do. If you do not have the capability of clicking the donate button, or you don't feel comfortable with that process, there's an address provided at the bottom of the screen where you can send in your gift donation or your order for your Stay Ready t-shirt. Don't forget to order your Stay Ready t-shirts. Your purchases and gifts support the outreach efforts of New Era Works Foundation. I want to hear from you, so email me at KamishaEvans@gmail.com or message me on KamishaEvans.ning.com or Facebook. Every month we'll open up the mailbag and confidentially, without mentioning your name, discuss the items that you send to me that are important to you. As always, you can continue the conversation at KamishaEvans.ning.com. We'll post the archives from the show, and I've included some additional information for you there. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next week. Have a great night.